Good morning, my dear friend. As the first soft light of dawn stretches across the sky and the world begins to stir in gentle silence, I welcome you to this sacred space. There is something uniquely holy about the morning, something pure and untouched. Before the noise of life resumes, and before responsibilities call your name, there is this window of stillness, a moment where your heart is free to breathe, and your soul is ready to listen. The dew still clings to the leaves. The air is crisp with hope. It is in this tender hour, at the threshold between night and day, that your spirit is most awake to the voice that truly matters. Somewhere, someone has woken up today with a heart too heavy to lift. Perhaps it is you. Perhaps it is someone you love. Maybe it is a mother sitting alone at the edge of her bed, holding a photo of a son who no longer speaks to her, or a man who stares out the kitchen window, wondering how to tell his family the job he relied on is gone. There are moments in life when the weight of what we carry becomes too much to hold quietly. Grief, fear, confusion, they do not wait for a convenient time to visit us. They arrive unannounced, often in the early hours, when it feels like the rest of the world is still sleeping. But this moment, this sunrise, is not just another day. It is not just another cycle of coffee and obligations. It is a divine invitation, an invitation to step out of survival mode and into sacred communion. It is a chance to pause the spinning of the mind and reconnect with the one who never stops watching over you. You may not feel brave. You may not feel ready, but you are here, and that is enough. This is more than just a devotional. This is a journey, a sacred unfolding of trust, healing, and renewal. Over the course of the next 24 chapters, we will enter into a rhythm of morning prayers together. We will not rush. We will not pretend. We will walk slowly, honestly, and faithfully through the landscape of your soul. We will begin in places of pain, move through valleys of uncertainty, climb hills of surrender, and stand on summits of peace. With every chapter, we will invite God into our hearts, not just to fix, but to dwell, not just to answer, but to transform. Prayer is not a performance. It is not reserved for perfect people or perfect moods. It is a conversation, a breathing out of your truth and a breathing in of divine presence. There is power in saying, "Here I am." There is courage in starting where you are, not where you wish you were. You do not have to tidy up your soul before speaking. God does not wait for polish. He responds to honesty. Even if all you can offer this morning is a sigh, a tear, a whisper, He hears it, and He calls it holy. Throughout the chapters to come, you will hear words that echo your own longings. You will be reminded that you are not walking alone. Each morning, as you return to this space, you will be guided gently back to what matters most. You will be anchored not in the chaos of the world, but in the constancy of God's love. Your identity will not be shaped by fear or failure, but by faith and grace. There is something miraculous about morning prayers. They rewire the day before it begins. They shift the atmosphere inside of you before the world outside can claim your focus. When you put God first Everything else begins to find its proper place, not always immediately, not always perfectly, but always purposefully. Prayer is not a magic wand, but it is a steady hand. It is the thread that weaves peace through confusion, clarity through fog, and joy through sorrow. If you have ever felt too broken to pray, or too tired to try, know this: there is room for you here. There is no script you must follow, no formula you must recite. Just presence, just willingness, just trust that something holy happens when you begin your day with God. So take a deep breath, let your shoulders relax, let your heart be honest, let your spirit lean in. You are stepping into a sacred conversation that will not leave you unchanged. You are not here by accident. This morning was always written for you. Now, my friend, as the light continues to grow outside your window, let that light grow within you. Let us begin this journey together. Let us walk slowly, prayerfully, intentionally, into a new day where God goes first and grace follows close behind. Are you ready? Let us begin. Dear Heavenly Father, this morning, as the sky begins to soften and the darkness slowly lifts, I come to you in this quiet space between what was and what is yet to be. The world is hushed, the streets are empty, and even my thoughts are gentler than usual. I feel the stillness pressing in, not with fear, but with invitation. In this tender silence before the sun climbs over the horizon, I turn to you first, not with a long list of needs, not with carefully formed sentences, but simply with my whole heart. You know me as I am right now. Before the day rushes in with its demands, before my feet touch the ground with urgency, you see my soul awake. I do not come with perfect words. I do not come with a polished spirit. I come because I trust that you are already here, waiting. The very breath in my lungs is proof that you have allowed this day to begin. And so I begin it with you. Father, there are parts of me that feel unsettled. I do not always understand why my chest feels heavy when I open my eyes. Some mornings I wake with a sense of worry or disappointment I thought I had already released. But in this stillness, I do not hide those things. I lay them at your feet, quietly, honestly. I know you are not alarmed by the emotions I carry. You are the one who shaped my soul. You are not distant from the ache that sometimes lingers just beneath the surface. Let this moment be the ground where trust begins to grow again. Let this early hour, untouched by the noise of the world, be where I learn to breathe deeply in your presence. I want to begin today not just by acknowledging you, but by welcoming you fully into every part of me. Let your nearness settle my racing thoughts. Let your kindness untangle the tension that I sometimes carry in silence. You are not far. You have never been far. I do not want to move without you. I do not want to build my day on anything less than the foundation of your love. I want to learn to sit with you before I strive. I want to hear your whisper before I answer the world. This stillness, this holy pause, is not empty. It is full of your peace, full of your presence. Teach me how to stay here longer. Teach me not to rush past this, even if only for a few minutes. Let me begin from this place still. Surrendered, aware of you. Thank you for this moment. Thank you for this breath. Thank you for not requiring me to be loud in order to be heard. Your love meets me in whispers just as powerfully as it does in shouts. I do not need to perform for you. I only need to come. And so I come early, small, imperfect, but fully present. I may not know what this day will hold, but I know who holds me. And that truth is enough to bring peace to my beginning. Let your spirit rise before the sun does. Let it rise in me. Let it fill every hollow space that I have ignored or numbed. If there is fear that has settled inside me overnight, replace it with trust. If there is sorrow that visits me with the morning light, hold it with compassion. If there is restlessness that crept in through my dreams, calm it with your presence. You know what I need more than I do. You know what today will ask of me. Prepare my soul for that. I open my hands now, unclenched and willing. Whatever I have been gripping too tightly, worry, regret, control, resentment, I release it to you. You have better things to place in my hands. I cannot receive them if I do not let go of what is not mine to hold. So take these pieces. Father, take them gently. I know you will. I choose, in this sacred hour, to believe that your goodness will meet me today. Not because of anything I have done to deserve it, but because it is who you are. I choose to believe that you are guiding me, even when I cannot yet see the road. I choose to believe that peace is not something I must earn, but something I can step into because you offer it freely. I choose to believe that mercy is new this morning, not just for others, but for me too. Help me to carry this stillness with me. Let it echo in my choices, in my tone, in the way I speak to strangers and the way I speak to myself. Let this moment of connection shape the way I see people today. Let it soften my edges, quiet my impulses, and help me to remember what truly matters. You are not asking me to do it all. You are asking me to walk with you through it all. Father, I do not come here to escape my responsibilities. I come so that I may carry them with grace. I come so that I may live today, not in reaction, but in rhythm with you. I come to remember that I am not alone. You walk with me through every room I enter, every task I complete, every conversation I begin. I do not have to strain to be strong. I simply have to stay connected to you, and your strength will become mine. Thank you for inviting me into this morning. Thank you for setting the sun on its path and gently waking my spirit with the whisper of your nearness. May the first sound in my soul be the echo of your love. May the first decision I make today be to return to you again and again. I may forget, I may rush, I may stumble into stress before breakfast, but right now, in this breath, I am with you, and that is where I belong. Let the stillness become a starting point, not a hiding place. Let it give birth to courage, not complacency. Let it remind me that when I begin with you, I do not walk into chaos alone. I walk in covered, guided, and known. This is not just a new day. It is a day you have already seen, already prepared, and you chose me to wake into it. So here I am, Lord, in the quiet, at the edge of morning, beginning again with you. Father, as the morning stretches further across the sky and the light begins to touch more corners of this waking world, I remain here with you. I do not want to lose the nearness that settled over me in the stillness before the day began. I do not want to forget how my soul paused long enough to hear something deeper than the usual noise. What we started in silence, let it now awaken into something steady. As my body prepares to move into this day, let my spirit take its first true breath, one that is not filled with stress or striving, but faith. This is not just another Tuesday or Thursday. It is not just another entry in a calendar full of appointments and checkboxes. This is a day you created, a gift wrapped in ordinary fabric, and I do not want to miss it while chasing what does not last. My heart longs to begin not just with good intentions, but with real trust. Not trust in what I can accomplish or control, but trust in you fresh, living, personal trust that does not come from habit, but from encounter. There is a part of me, Father, that still tries to prepare for the worst before expecting the best. It is the part of me that learned long ago to stay guarded, to think ahead, to assume something will go wrong if I do not hold everything together. But this morning, I want to try something different. I want to begin with belief. Before emails are answered, before decisions are made, before anyone asks anything of me, I want to plant my feet firmly on faith. You have never asked me to be invincible. You have asked me to be available. You have never required perfection. You have invited presence. So here I am, opening the door of this morning to you, not with polished theology, but with the rawness of someone who simply needs your presence to be real again today. I do not need fireworks or revelations. I need the quiet strength that comes when I know you are walking beside me. Let this be the first breath of faith, not borrowed from someone else's story, not repeated from yesterday, but alive in me right now. Let it rise inside me like a flame that refuses to go out when the wind blows. Let it remind me that even if I face challenges today, I will not face them alone. You go before me. You stand beside me. You dwell within me. And because of that, I have more than I realize. I do not need to see the full picture. I do not need every answer to take the next step. I just need to begin with trust. I need to walk through this morning with my heart open to how you will guide me. Let this faith not be based on what I see, but on who you are. You have been faithful through every season, through every moment I thought would undo me. And if you were faithful then, you will be faithful now. Father, awaken a fresh boldness within me, not loud or boastful, but quiet and resilient. Let it be the kind of faith that stands still when anxiety tries to push me into panic. Let it be the kind of faith that does not need proof to keep believing. Let it be the kind that lives in small decisions and unseen choices. Let it be the faith that says, God is enough, even when nothing else seems certain. This breath, this start, this sacred sliver of morning, it is my offering to you. I do not bring much. I do not bring confidence wrapped in certainty, but I bring this willing heart, and I ask that you would meet me in this willingness and shape something lasting from it. I ask that you would lead me into the kind of day where I am not just reacting to problems, but responding in peace. I want to be anchored in you before the tide of expectation pulls me in every direction. Give me eyes that notice grace today. Let me not overlook the subtle ways you speak through the smile of a stranger, the warmth of coffee, the stillness of a tree swaying gently in the breeze. These are not small things. They are sacred hints of your care. I want to live this day aware, awake, not just rushing from one moment to the next, but catching glimpses of eternity in the everyday. Help me remember that faith is not a feeling. It is a posture. It is the way I get up from this prayer. It is the way I hold my tongue when I want to lash out. It is the way I choose kindness even when it is inconvenient. It is the way I choose to believe you are working, even when nothing around me is changing yet. Let my faith show up not in loud declarations, but in quiet decisions that align with your heart. And when fear tries to sneak, and when that old voice whispers that I am not enough or that something will fall apart, remind me of this breath, this beginning. Remind me that I started today in your presence, that I chose trust instead of tension, that I turned toward peace when panic knocked. That decision ripple outward in ways I can predict, but you can bless. I know today may not be easy, but faith does not ask for ease. It asks for presence. And that I have you. I have this breath. I have this moment. And that is enough to take the next step. Let my faith become a melody that hums beneath my daily rhythm. Let it be the music I move to, the silence I rest in, the strength I lean on. Let it be what rises in me when worry knocks, and what steadies me when I am unsure. Let it be born again this morning, not out of pressure, but out of promise. Father, this first breath of faith is not perfect, but it is real. It is mine. I offer it back to you. Grow it. Stretch it. Use it to build something beautiful that I could never have planned alone. I begin with you, not just in words, but in trust. And that, I believe, changes everything. Father, you who have watched over me through nights I did not think I would survive, I return to you now, not with bold words or polished strength, but with arms tired from holding too much. What began this morning with stillness and trust now leads me here. To this sacred confession, I am carrying things that are too heavy for me. Even though I try to start fresh, even though I breathe in faith and speak of surrender, there are still burdens in my soul that refuse to let go easily. Some of these weights I placed on myself, thinking I had to be everything for everyone. Others were handed to me without warning, grief I never asked for, pain I never saw coming, disappointments that still echo in my bones. I have smiled through tears, walked forward with shaky steps, and tried to act fine when something inside me was quietly unraveling. But you know better. You see what no one else sees. You hear the silent questions, the hidden aches, the quiet doubts that surface in the most ordinary moments. I do not come to you today to be rescued from responsibility. I come because I cannot carry it all without breaking. And I know you never asked me to. You never required me to be invincible. You simply asked me to come. to let you carry what I was never meant to bear alone. So I open my heart now, honestly, without defense. I name the things I have been afraid to speak out loud. The fear that I will never be enough, the regret I can outrun, the guilt that still lingers from choices I can undo, the pressure to prove something I do not even believe anymore, the anxiety that creeps in when I imagine what tomorrow might bring. I place these before you, not because I have the words to explain them fully, but because I know you understand what I cannot articulate. You know the story behind every sorrow, the reason behind every tear I tried to hold back, and you care. Let this moment be the beginning of release, not dramatic or loud, but real. Let something begin to shift in my chest. Let my hands start to loosen their grip on the things I was never designed to hold. I have spent so much time pretending to be strong that I forgot you are strongest in my weakness. So I step back now, and I ask you to step in not as a last resort, but as the loving Father who has waited patiently for me to hand it over. Lift the burdens, even if just enough for me to breathe again. Lighten the load, not by erasing it, by carrying it with me. Let me feel the relief of knowing I do not have to navigate every decision, fix every problem, or hold everything together. I was never created to be the source. You are. I was never asked to hold the world. You already do. And Father, for the burdens I cannot name, for the ones buried so deep they have become part of how I see myself, bring them gently into the light. I give you permission to go deeper, to reveal what is hiding beneath the surface, to uncover the lies I have believed for too long. If I have built an identity around pain, dismantle it with tenderness. If I have worn my sorrow like armor, teach me how to lay it down without fear. Remind me that you are not ashamed of what I carry. You are not impatient with my struggle. You are not surprised by my breaking point. In fact, you meet me here, right in the middle of it. You sit with me in the heaviness and whisper that I am still yours, that nothing I carry disqualifies me from your love, that there is no shame in needing help. There is only grace and more grace. Father, teach me how to walk lighter. Teach me how to notice when the weight starts creeping back onto my shoulders. Help me become someone who recognizes the difference between what is mine to carry and what is yours. I do not want to keep absorbing every expectation, every pressure, every false sense of control. I want to live free, not free from hardship, but free from pretending I can handle it all on my own. And as I offer my burdens to you, help me to offer compassion to others too. There are people around me carrying invisible weights of their own. Let this experience soften my heart, not harden it. Let it make me kinder, more patient, more understanding. Let it help me see beyond what is visible, to speak life where silence has taken over, to be a safe place for others the way you are for me. Even now, Father, as I whisper these words, I sense you drawing near, not to judge or fix, but simply to hold, to remind me that you are not a distant observer, but a present companion, that you are not waiting for me to figure it all out, but inviting me to rest in the truth that you already have. And as I begin to let go, even just a little, I feel something inside me shift just enough to hope again. This day will come with its own challenges. I may be asked to carry things again, to face uncertainty again, to feel the sting of stress or sorrow again. But now I know I can return here, to this quiet moment, to this holy surrender, to this truth that I am not alone in the weight. I am not abandoned under the pressure. I am held, and I am loved. So I breathe slowly, not to escape, but to anchor myself in you. I speak gently to my own soul. I remind it that you are trustworthy, that you are not overwhelmed by what overwhelms me, that you are able, that you are near, that you are willing, and that makes all the difference. Father, this burdened heart belongs to you. Every scar, every fear, every silent plea, I place them in your hands, not to forget them, but to finally stop letting them define me. Let what I carry become something sacred, not because it disappears, but because it leads me back to you. Let it be a doorway to deeper surrender, a bridge to greater peace, a signpost that says I do not have to carry it alone anymore. Father, you who see all and still love me without hesitation, I come to you again in this quiet morning, after laying down the burdens I can no longer carry. I find myself standing in front of something deeper, wounds I have avoided, memories I have buried, pain I have covered over with distraction or denial. And now that I am no longer bracing myself under the weight of survival, I feel them stirring beneath the surface, asking to be seen, to be felt, to be healed. I did not want to name them. I did not want to go back to the places in my heart that still ache without explanation. But you are not afraid of what I have hidden. You do not turn away from the messiest corners of my soul. So this morning, I open the door I have kept shut for too long. Not all the way, not with full confidence, but with trembling trust. If there is healing on the other side of honesty, then lead me there gently. You know the places where disappointment has lived for years. You know the faces that still show up in my thoughts. Uninvited. You know the words spoken over me that stuck like thorns and never fully left. You know the loss I tried to outrun, pretending I did not care. You know the loneliness that settled in quietly and made a home in my chest. And you know the lies I started to believe about myself because of it all. I bring those things to you now, not perfectly worded, not fully sorted, but raw and real. If there are tears that need to fall, let them fall here. If there are truths I need to finally say out loud, let me speak them to you first. If there are scars I have tried to erase, remind me that scars mean I have survived something that once tried to break me. Let this be the morning I stop running. Let this be the day I stop pretending I am fine when I'm not. You are not asking me to be unshaken. You are inviting me to be known, and that is a gift I can no longer ignore. Father, I do not know how to heal myself. I have tried. I have read the words, said the affirmations, pushed through the pain, smiled through the silence. But none of that has gone deep enough, because healing does not happen in hiding. It begins in honesty. So I lay the broken pieces before you, not to be judged, but to be mended, not to be fixed instantly, but to be held until they can become whole again. Go where I have been afraid to look, touch the wounds I have numbed or dismissed. If I have labeled myself by my pain, rewrite the name I carry. Call me by who I truly am, not by what I have been through. I am not defined by abandonment, by betrayal, by shame. I am not bound to the story of my lowest moment. I am yours, and you are rewriting what was meant to break me into something that can become beautiful in your hands. Show me, Father, that healing does not mean forgetting. It means remembering differently. It means knowing the pain was real, but grace is greater. It means standing where I once fell and saying, God was here too. Let my heart begin to believe that what once wounded me deeply can become a well of compassion for others. That what once made me feel alone can now connect me to someone else who is struggling to believe they matter. And if the healing is slow, let it still be sacred. If it does not come all at once, let it come in layers, in small moments of clarity, in quiet shifts of peace, in gentle waves of relief. I do not need dramatic deliverance to believe you are working. I need the courage to keep showing up in this conversation, to keep laying down what hurts, to keep trusting that you do not waste any of it. Father, help me to be kind to myself in this process. I have judged myself harshly for feeling too much, for not moving on fast enough, for reopening wounds I thought I should have closed by now. But you are not rushing me. You are not measuring my pace. You are walking beside me with tenderness, with patience, with unwavering presence, and that is enough. I give you my questions, the ones without answers. I give you the anger I have tried to bury under polite words. I give you the bitterness that tries to grow when forgiveness feels too far away. I give you the grief that comes in waves, without warning. I give you the child in me who still wonders why some things had to happen the way they did. I give you all of it, because you are big enough to hold what I can make sense of. Let your love reach the places I forgot to pray about. Let it soften the walls I have built to protect myself. Let it seep into the cracks of disappointment and begin something new. I do not need to understand everything to believe that healing is possible. I just need to know that you are not leaving me in the middle of it. And I do know that I feel it even now, in the stillness, in the slowness, in the space you have created for this moment. This morning, I choose to believe that naming my wounds is not weakness. It is the beginning of strength. That looking at what hurts does not mean I am broken beyond repair. It means I am brave enough to hope for more. That letting you see the whole of me mess and all is the most honest act of faith I can offer. And so I sit here, vulnerable but safe, exposed but covered. I do not have to hide anymore. I do not have to carry it alone. I do not have to pretend that I am unaffected. You already know. And you love me anyway, not in spite of my wounds, but through them. You are the healer, and I am the one you have not forgotten. Let this morning be a turning point, not because everything is suddenly better, but because I have chosen to be real with you. Let this honesty open the door to wholeness. Let this moment be the one where the ache starts to loosen, and the light begins to reach where I thought it never could. Let this be the sacred beginning of becoming whole again. Father, now that the wounds have been named, and I have let you into the tender places I once avoided, I feel something stirring that I cannot fully explain. It is not loud or urgent, but steady and warm, like sunlight moving slowly through a room that has been closed for far too long. It is the soft voice I have pushed away more times than I can count, the invitation of grace, and this time, I do not want to run from it. This time, I want to receive it. I have spent so much of my life trying to earn what you always meant to give freely. I have exhausted myself in the pursuit of worth, measuring my value by how well I perform, how much I please, how little I fail. I have said things like "I am fine" or "I have got this," even when my soul was begging for rest. But here in this quiet morning, where shame begins to loosen and truth begins to rise, I see it clearly. I have been standing outside a door that has always been open, and grace has been waiting. Not grace that glosses over pain or excuses what needs to be healed. Not shallow comfort that tells me I am okay when I know I am not. But real grace, the kind that meets me in the rubble and says, "You are still loved." The kind that looks at all I tried to fix on my own and says, "You do not have to try so hard anymore." That is the grace I want to step into now, not as a visitor, but as someone who belongs. Father, if I am honest, sometimes grace feels too good to trust. My mind tries to complicate what my spirit longs to embrace. I hear the echo of old lies telling me I must clean myself up before coming close. But you never asked me to be spotless before approaching. You asked me to come, and so I do, bringing my weary spirit, my imperfect motives, and my deep hunger for something real. I am not here to impress you. I am here to be with you. Let your grace wash over the corners of my heart, still clinging to self-doubt. Let it soak into the memories I can rewrite and the decisions I regret. Let it reach even the parts of me I have labeled unlovable. I want to believe not just in my mind, but deep in my bones that grace is not something I qualify for, but something I am offered again and again because of who you are. Remind me that grace is not weakness. It is not a crutch or a way to escape truth. His strength wrapped in mercy. It is the quiet power that holds me when I would otherwise fall apart. It is the open hand reaching toward me when I have withdrawn in shame. It is the whisper that says, "You are forgiven." Not once, but every time I return. And this morning, I return. I return to the truth that I am not the sum of my mistakes. I am not trapped by the worst thing I have done. I am not beyond repair. I am someone you have chosen to love, even with all the cracks still showing. And that changes everything. That shifts the way I see myself, the way I show up in the world, the way I hold others, because when grace is received, it does not stay still, it moves outward, transforming everything it touches. Father, help me to live like someone who knows they are loved, not just on good days, but on the days when I stumble and forget who I am. Help me walk through this day with the lightness that comes from knowing I do not have to prove myself every moment. Let grace be the ground I stand on, the lens I see through, the song I carry quietly in my spirit. And for the times I doubt when shame tries to call me into hiding, remind me of this moment. Remind me of how it feels to sit here, honest and unafraid, not because I have all the answers, but because I have been met with undeserved kindness. That is the kind of grace I want to wake up to. The kind I want to build my life around. The kind I want to extend to others without hesitation. Let me be someone who carries grace, not just as a belief, but as a way of being. Someone who speaks gently, who listens longer, who forgives quicker. Someone who knows how to hold space for others without judgment because they have experienced what it means to be fully known and fully loved. Let your grace shape not only my prayers, but my presence in the world. Father, if grace is a table, then let me pull up a chair. Let me sit with you. Not rushed, not apologetic, but present. Let me savor the truth that I do not have to fight for a place here. I do not have to bring a resume or a list of good deeds. I bring myself, and that is enough for you. You are not keeping score. You are offering rest. I accept that rest now. I breathe it in. I let it settle in the spaces where anxiety used to live. I let it speak louder than the voice of pressure. I let it be the final word over all the fears that have tried to define me. This is grace. Unearned, unending, unwavering, and I choose to let it hold me today. Help me to remember that grace is not just for mornings like this. It is for the moments when I mess up later, when I forget to pray, when I say the wrong thing, when I fall short of who I want to be. Grace does not expire at sunrise. It meets me again and again, wherever I am willing to return. And so, as I move into this day, let grace be the rhythm beneath everything I do. Let it be the reason I pause before speaking, the courage behind my kindness, the softness in my strength. Let it remind me that I belong not because I earned my way here, but because you made a way for me, and you never take that invitation back. Thank you for not giving up on me. Thank you for seeing past what others may notice. Thank you for knowing every hidden part of me and still choosing to come close. This grace you offer does not just change my morning. It changes my story. It rewrites what I thought was final. It whispers hope where there was silence. And for that, I will keep coming back. This is the invitation I never expected, but always needed. And now that I have heard it, I do not want to live another day without answering yes. Yes to mercy over shame. Yes to truth over lies. Yes to belonging over isolation. Yes to the quiet miracle of being loved without condition. Yes to grace, again and again. Always yes. Father, now that I have begun to taste the sweetness of grace, I realize how much it invites me to live differently. Grace is never meant to be hoarded. It moves outward, asking me to extend what I have received. But here, Father, is where I struggle most. I can accept that you forgive me, but my heart trembles when I face the idea of forgiving others. The wounds still sting. The memories are vivid, and something inside me wants to hold on to them like proof of how much I have suffered. Yet I know, if I cling to them, they will weigh me down more than they ever punish the ones who hurt me. That is why I need you in this sacred hour. I cannot forgive without your help, but I also cannot heal while refusing to forgive. You see the people whose names and faces rise when I think of betrayal. You know the ones who spoke words that cut deeply, or who left when I needed them most, or who acted carelessly with a trust I gave freely. And you also know the quiet resentment I have carried toward myself, the anger at mistakes I made, the shame over moments I replay again and again. Forgiveness must move in both directions, toward others and toward myself. But neither comes easily. My instinct is to clench my fists tighter, to replay the hurt, to imagine what should have been said or done differently. Yet you are gently teaching me that clenched fists cannot receive blessing. To live in grace is to open my hands. To open my hands is to forgive. Father, show me what forgiveness truly means. Not denial, not pretending the pain never happened, not excusing harm or dismissing truth. Forgiveness does not erase the past, but it loosens its grip. Forgiveness is freedom, the unshackling of my own soul from bitterness that poisons quietly. It is the decision to release judgment into your hands, knowing you're the only one who sees the whole story. I do not have to keep carrying the fire of anger that burns me from within. I can lay it down and trust that justice belongs to you, not me. This is what I want, even if my heart resists. I want the freedom forgiveness brings. So I whisper their names to you now, even if my voice shakes. I place them before you, the ones who hurt me knowingly, and the ones who hurt me by accident, the ones who never apologized, and the ones who may never even realize what they did. I lay them at your feet, not because they deserve it, because you have forgiven me when I did not deserve it. Let forgiveness flow through me, not as a forced gesture, but as a gift of grace taking root. Teach me that letting go is not weakness. It is strength that comes from trusting you to handle what I cannot. And Father, I cannot forget to include myself in this offering. I have carried resentment toward my own heart. I have punished myself for failures long after you had already forgiven me. I have replayed mistakes, convinced that holding on to guilt would somehow make me better. But it only made me wary. So I ask for the courage to forgive myself, to speak kindness where I have spoken cruelty, to accept that I am more than the worst thing I have done, to believe that when you say I am forgiven, it is final. Help me walk in that freedom without dragging chains I no longer need to carry. Let this forgiveness not be a single act, but a practice, a daily decision, a rhythm I learn slowly. There will be mornings when the pain resurfaces, and I will want to pick it back up. When that happens, remind me to return here, to lay it down again, to choose release over resentment. Forgiveness may not always feel like a sudden miracle. Sometimes it feels like steady surrender, repeated until the heart is finally free, and I trust you to be patient with me in that process. Father, as I let go, fill the empty space with peace. Replace bitterness with compassion, anger with gentleness, fear with trust. Let forgiveness soften me, not harden me. Let it make me tender rather than bitter, wiser rather than closed. Use what was meant for harm to grow in me a deeper well of empathy for others who are also hurting. Let my story of forgiveness become a testimony that love is stronger than resentment, and mercy more powerful than memory. I know this will change how I live today. Forgiveness will alter my words, my tone, my choices. It will shape how I respond when someone frustrates me, or when disappointment tries to take root again. It will remind me to pause, to breathe, to release instead of react. It will teach me to pray for others, even those who never prayed for me. It will guide me to live as someone who is no longer bound to the past, but free to embrace the present. And Father, may this forgiveness extend not only to individuals, but to seasons of my life. Teach me how to forgive the years that felt wasted, the doors that never opened, the opportunities that slipped away. Teach me how to release regret over things I cannot change, and to trust that you can redeem even what feels lost. Let me live with hope rather than bitterness, with expectation rather than despair. Let me trust that nothing is beyond your power to restore. So here I am, Father, opening my clenched fists. I let the hurts drift from my hands like leaves carried away by a river. I release them into the current of your mercy, trusting they will not return to bind me. I let go, not once, but again and again, until the release becomes natural, until my heart knows what my mind sometimes forgets, that forgiveness is not a favor to others, but freedom for me. And in this freedom, I will walk with you, lighter, softer, stronger, ready to live today unburdened by what I cannot change. Father, now that I have opened my hands to release the hurts of yesterday, I realize how quiet the soul becomes when bitterness no longer fills its corners. But even with forgiveness flowing, life around me is not always still. The storms continue to rise, both within and outside of me. Some of them roar loudly with obvious force, and others whisper more subtly, pressing against my chest like a weight I cannot explain. It is in these moments that I long most for your voice, the voice that carries authority over wind and waves, the voice that does not shout to prove power, but speaks with calm certainty. Peace. Be still. Father, you know the storms I face even before I feel their first winds. You know how quickly fear grips me when I sense chaos stirring. Sometimes it looks like conflict with people I care about, sharp words exchanged that leave lingering wounds. Other times it is the quiet unraveling of my thoughts, when worry spins into endless what-ifs and drags me into places I never wanted to go. There are days when my heart races for no reason I can name, when shadows of dread appear without warning. And though the world outside may remain calm, the storm rages in me. That is why I need you to be near, to be present, to remind me that storms do not have the final word. You do. When the disciples sat in the boat, afraid of the waves that threatened to swallow them, you were there, unshaken, resting in peace that came from knowing who holds creation. And when their fear spilled out in desperation, you rose and spoke, and everything changed. Father, I need that same reassurance now, not that storms will vanish forever, but that I will learn to hear your voice above the noise. Teach me to believe that one word from you is stronger than the loudest chaos in my mind. Teach me to trust that even when storms continue, I am not abandoned in the middle of them. I confess, Father, that my instinct in storms is often to panic. I grasp for control. I search for solutions. I rehearse the worst-case scenarios. But none of these have ever truly saved me. They only exhaust me. What saves me is the moment I remember that you are in the boat with me, that you have not left, that my cries are not wasted in the wind. Even if you choose to let the storm continue for a while, you steady me by reminding me that I am not alone. You give me courage not because the waves shrink, but because you are greater than the waves. Father, let your peace rise in me like an anchor, not a fragile peace that depends on circumstances, but a deep peace that lives in the center of my being, untouchable by shifting winds. Let it ground me when everything else shakes. Let it whisper to me in the moments when fear grows loud. Let it guide my breathing, slow and steady, reminding me that every inhale is filled with your presence. Every exhale a release of fear I do not need to hold. Teach me that calm is not the absence of trouble, but the presence of trust. And Father, let your voice also reshape the way I respond to others when storms collide. Sometimes people bring their chaos into my life, and I react with defensiveness or anger. But if your peace dwells in me, then I can meet them not with panic, but with patience, not with harshness, but with gentleness. Let me carry your calm into conversations that might otherwise spiral. Let me be a presence of steadiness in a world constantly spinning, not because I am naturally calm, but because I am rooted in you. Even as I ask for calm, I know there will be storms I cannot predict, news that breaks unexpectedly, loss that cuts deeply, challenges that stretch beyond my strength. And yet, Father, I believe that when those moments arrive, I will not face them empty. I will remember mornings like this, where I sat in stillness and heard your voice reminding me that peace is not impossible. I will recall the way you have carried me through before, and I will trust that you will carry me again. My storms may be fierce, but my Savior is stronger. So let this day unfold with that truth at the center. Let me walk into meetings, conversations, and unknown places with the quiet assurance that your voice still speaks. When fear begins to rise, help me pause and listen. When anxiety threatens to consume me, help me remember that I am not defined by it. When doubt whispers that the storm will win, remind me that storms always bow to you in the end. Remind me that peace is not fragile. Peace is a promise. Father, let this peace cover not just me, but the ones I love. Some of them are walking through storms I cannot calm for them. I want to fix it, but I cannot. So I place them in your hands and ask that you speak into their chaos the way you speak into mine. Be the calm in their nights, the steadiness in their mornings, the voice that breaks through their fear. Surround them with a sense of presence so strong they cannot deny it. Let them know they are not abandoned, not even for a moment. And Father, let this peace stretch beyond what I can see. Let it ripple outward into places I will never walk. Let the way I carry myself in storms become a quiet testimony to others that peace is possible, that calm is real, that trust is stronger than panic, not because of who I am, but because of who you are. Let others see in me a glimpse of the one who still speaks over storms today. So I breathe in slowly, Letting the calm settle deeper than the fear, I hold on to the truth that storms may rage, but they are temporary. Your presence is eternal. I remind myself that waves are loud but fleeting, while your love is steady and unending. And in that truth, I find rest, I find courage, I find the voice that tells me, once again, peace, be still. Father, after hearing your voice calm the storms within me, I feel the difference that peace makes. But as the stillness settles, another question rises quietly in my heart. How do I live in that peace when answers remain out of reach? How do I walk into this day knowing that so many things I pray for are still unresolved? So many situations remain unclear. So many desires are yet unmet. My instinct is to wait until things improve, until problems are solved, until dreams are realized, and then to rejoice. But you are teaching me something deeper, something harder yet more beautiful, the choice to embrace joy even before the answers arrive. Joy feels different from happiness. Father, happiness comes and goes depending on what is happening around me. It is fragile, dependent on outcomes I cannot always control. But joy, real joy, seems to be born of something deeper. Something rooted not in circumstances, but in trust. It is a melody rising from the soul even when the mind cannot explain it. It is a quiet strength that chooses hope over despair, even when nothing has visibly changed. And this morning, in the light of your presence, I want to step into that kind of joy. Father, teach me to sing before the victory. Teach me to lift gratitude before provision comes. Teach me to smile not because everything is perfect, but because you are present and faithful, even in imperfection. This is the kind of joy I long to live, with a joy that refuses to wait for conditions to improve. A joy that is an act of defiance against fear. A declaration that you are enough even here. Even now, I admit it is not easy. My heart often wants proof. I want to see progress before celebrating, change before giving thanks. Yet I remember that some of the greatest acts of faith in history were moments when your children rejoiced before seeing the outcome. Songs were lifted in prison cells. Praises were declared in wilderness places. Gratitude was spoken in the face of hunger, and each time, joy opened the door for your power to move in ways no one expected. Let me walk in that same spirit today. Let me not wait for the door to open before I sing, but sing in the hallway knowing you are already at work. Father, when disappointment tries to drain my spirit, remind me of who you are. When delays tempt me to despair, remind me that your timing is always wiser than my own. When silence feels unbearable, remind me that joy is not found in getting what I want, but in knowing I am never abandoned. Anchor me in that truth so deeply that nothing can steal the joy you give. Let this joy be untouchable by shifting moods, steady even when storms return, bright even when shadows try to cover it. And Father, let my joy today be a witness to others. In a world that often waits for circumstances to dictate emotions, let my life shine with a different kind of light. Let people see a joy that makes no sense to the natural eye, and let it point them toward you. Not forced cheerfulness, not denial of pain, but authentic joy rooted in the knowledge that you are good, you are present, and you are enough. Let my joy be contagious, reminding others that hope is possible even in waiting. Sometimes, Father, choosing joy feels like lifting a weight heavier than sorrow itself. It takes courage to celebrate when the heart aches. It takes faith to smile when tears are still drying. But that is why I need you in this moment. I cannot produce joy on my own. I cannot force my heart to rejoice. But I can turn to you and ask for joy to rise like a gift of grace. Not manufactured but received. And so I ask now, let joy well up inside me. Surprising me. Carrying me. Lifting me beyond what I thought was possible. Let this joy not be shallow but deep. Let it flow into my thoughts when they start to spiral. Let it steady my words when I am tempted to complain. Let it shape my attitude when the day feels long. Let it spill over into the smallest details, into the way I greet strangers, into the way I handle interruptions, into the way I treat myself with compassion. Let it remind me moment by moment that joy is not postponed until everything makes sense. It is available now because you are here now. Father, I lift to you all the unanswered questions, all the unresolved struggles, all the prayers that still hang in silence. I place them in your hands not with despair, but with joy that trusts you will bring what is needed in the right time. I refuse to let these unknowns steal the present moment from me. I refuse to let waiting become wasted. Instead, I will fill the waiting with worship. I will fill the silence with songs of joy. I will choose to live as though the breakthrough has already begun, because I know that in your presence there is always reason to rejoice. So this morning, I choose joy, not because I see the finish line, but because I know the one who walks beside me. Not because every question is answered, because I trust the one who holds the answers. Not because life is free of sorrow, but because I believe sorrow does not get the final word. Let this joy be the rhythm that carries me through today. Let it rise like light in my spirit, reminding me that hope is never wasted, that trust is never foolish, that joy is always possible in you. Father, after learning to choose joy even when answers have not yet come, I realize that joy itself is sustained by trust, and trust grows as I walk with you step by step. Joy does not exist in isolation. It flourishes in the presence of the one who leads me faithfully. And so this morning, I turn my heart to the image you have given so often, the picture of you as my shepherd, a shepherd who does not send me out alone, but walks with me, guiding, protecting, and providing in every season of life. Father, I admit that my pace is not always steady. There are days when I rush ahead, convinced I know the way. Other times I drag my feet, afraid of what might be around the corner. Yet you never abandon me to my confusion. You call me back when I wander. You wait patiently when I resist. You set boundaries not to restrain me, but to protect me from what I cannot see. Your rod and your staff are not instruments of punishment, but symbols of your care, steady reminders that I am never outside of your watch. Think of how fragile sheep are, how easily they panic, how quickly they scatter when danger comes. And in that reflection, I see myself. I know how easily I lose focus, how quickly fear unsettles me, how easily distractions pull me from the path you have laid out. Yet the miracle of your love is this: you never call me too weak to be worth tending. Instead, you claim me as your own, and in that belonging, I find peace. When I see myself as unworthy, you see me as chosen. When I see only failure, you see potential for growth. When I see wilderness, you see green pastures ahead. You see what I cannot. Father, this day may not unfold as I expect, but if I walk with you as my shepherd, I know I will not be led astray. You know where the still waters are hidden. You know the safe paths through rocky terrain. You know the right pace for me, not too fast that I collapse, not too slow that I grow stagnant. Teach me to match my steps with yours. Let my spirit move in rhythm with your leading, trusting that every delay has purpose and every redirection has meaning. Sometimes I confess that I want clarity more than companionship. I want a map of the future rather than the presence of a guide. But what I really need is you. Maps can change, plans can shift, but the shepherd never abandons his flock. So I release my demand to know every detail. I choose instead to know you more deeply. If I can hear your voice, I will not be lost. If I can sense your presence, I will not despair. Teach me to recognize your voice among the countless others that call my name each day. Let it be the voice I trust above all. Father, protect me from the things I cannot see. Wolves come disguised. Danger often hides in the ordinary. Yet you see it all, and your presence shields me. Let me rest in the truth that no harm can reach me outside of what you allow and redeem, even when shadows fall and valleys grow dark. Let me remember that the shepherd walks there too. Darkness may hide the path from me, but it cannot hide me from you. You see me in every valley, and you lead me out again in your time. And Father, I also thank you for the nourishment you provide along the way. Just as a shepherd leads his flock to green pastures, you lead me to places where my soul is fed. It may not always look like abundance to the world, but it is enough for me. The encouragement of a kind word, the strength of a renewed mind, the comfort of Scripture, the quiet gift of rest, these are the pastures you provide, and they restore me in ways nothing else can. Help me to recognize these gifts today, to pause long enough to enjoy them, to let gratitude grow rather than rushing past your provision. Father, I do not walk this journey alone, and that truth brings comfort. Just as sheep travel together under one shepherd, I am part of a greater flock. Teach me to live in unity with others who are also following you. Teach me to offer patience and grace when they stumble. Just as you offer the same to me, let me see their value, their need for care, their worth as part of this family. Let us walk together, not competing, not comparing, but supporting one another as we follow your lead, as this day unfolds. Father, help me to keep my eyes on you. Distractions will come, worries will whisper, uncertainty will press against my faith, but the shepherd's presence is stronger than them all. Let me walk today not hurried or hesitant, but steady and secure. Let me find joy not just in reaching a destination, but in every step I take with you beside me. Let me rest in the truth that wherever you lead, it will always be for my good, even if I do not see it immediately. So I rise now with this prayer echoing in my spirit. I will walk with my shepherd. I will trust his pace. I will follow his voice. I will lean into his protection. and I will find rest in his provision. And as I walk, may others see in me not my strength, but the steady presence of the one who guides me. For when I walk with you, Father, even the most ordinary path becomes holy ground. Father, as I continue walking with you as my shepherd, I feel the comfort of knowing that I am guided, even when I cannot see very far ahead. Yet I must admit how easily I become unsettled when the road grows dim and the direction is uncertain. Trusting a shepherd is simple when the way is wide, when the grass is green and the stream is visible. But when the trail narrows, when fog settles thick around me, when every step feels hesitant, my heart begins to wrestle with doubt. It is in these moments, Father, that I need you most, not to give me a complete map, but to remind me that I am still safe in your care, even when I cannot see clearly. You know how much I long for clarity. I want assurance that the choices I make are the right ones, that the decisions ahead will not lead to regret. I want to know how long the valley will last, or when the next door will open. I want certainty where you invite trust, yet life with you has shown me that faith does not always mean knowing what comes next. It means knowing who walks with me. So even as I feel the tension between wanting answers and learning to rest without them, I choose to believe that you are not lost even when I feel lost. The path may feel uncertain to me, but it has never been unclear to you. Father, teach me to find peace in the partial light when I can only see one step ahead. Let me take that step with confidence, not because I understand everything, but because I trust the one who calls me forward. Help me to release the need for total control. Help me to resist the temptation to panic when life feels like a maze without direction. Let my heart be trained to rest in the truth that even when I cannot see the outcome, you already hold it in your hands. Your wisdom stretches beyond my vision, and your timing is never late. There are times, Father, when your silence feels overwhelming, when I pray and hear no immediate reply, when I search and find no quick answer. I wonder if I have been left to figure it out on my own. But then I remember the quiet lessons of Scripture, how you often worked in hidden ways. How many of your children walked by faith through seasons of uncertainty before they saw the fruit of your promise? Teach me to see your silence not as absence, but as a space where my trust is deepened. Let me lean into you more closely when clarity is withheld, believing that you are still speaking, even if the words are softer than I expected. Father, when my thoughts spiral into fear of the unknown, steady me. Remind me of the times you have already carried me through confusion, the doors you opened I never expected, the answers that came after long waiting. Memory itself can be a guidepost of faith. Help me remember so that I do not lose heart. Help me to trust that what feels unclear today may one day make sense in hindsight, when I look back and see how every step prepared me for the next. And Father, even in the fog, let me find joy in the journey. Let me not miss the quiet beauty along the way simply because I am too focused on reaching the destination. Teach me to notice the gentle reminders of your presence, the kindness of a stranger, the comfort of a verse, the peace that arrives unexplainably in anxious moments. These are signs that I am not abandoned. These are assurances that though the path feels unclear, the shepherd is still near. Sometimes, Father, the hardest part is choosing not to freeze. When I do not know what to do, I am tempted to do nothing at all, yet you call me not to paralysis, but to trustful movement. Even small steps matter when they are taken with you. Even hesitant obedience is precious when it comes from a surrendered heart. So guide me today to take the next right step. However small, however simple, however ordinary, and let that be enough. If the path bends in ways I do not understand, help me to bend with it instead of resisting. If the journey takes longer than I imagined, help me to endure with patience. If the way requires detours I would not have chosen, help me to trust that nothing is wasted in your plan. Not a step, not a delay, not a difficulty. Everything can be used for growth when it is entrusted to you. Father, I offer you my need for control, my demand for certainty, my fear of the unknown. I lay them down like heavy stones I no longer wish to carry. In their place, give me lightness of spirit, the courage to trust, and the humility to follow. Teach me that walking with you is not about having every detail in advance, but about being willing to be led. Teach me that the unknown is not my enemy if it is filled with your presence. So here I stand, Father, on a path that feels unclear to my eyes, yet fully known to yours, and I choose to move forward one step at a time. Not with perfect confidence, but with faith that grows each time I trust you in the dark. Let today be shaped not by how much I see, but by how much I trust. And let my heart rest in the truth that I am never lost as long as I am with you. Father, after walking with you through the fog of an uncertain path, I realize how much of my fear comes not from the unknown itself, but from my struggle to control what I was never meant to hold. Letting go is not natural for me. My hands want to cling, my mind wants to manage, my heart wants to predict. Yet each time I tighten my grip, the weight only grows heavier, and peace drifts further away. That is why this morning, I ask you to give me the courage to release what was never mine to control, to surrender the outcomes I cannot shape, to place into your hands what my hands are too small to hold. Father, you know how often I replay the past, wishing I could rewrite words I spoke, actions I regret, moments that slipped away. I grip those memories as though holding them tighter might somehow redeem them. But they only drain me. You are reminding me now that I cannot alter yesterday, but I can entrust it to you. The shame, the sorrow, the questions, they do not belong on my shoulders anymore. They belong at your feet, where grace and mercy are big enough to cover them all. Teach me to let go of yesterday so that I can fully step in today. And it is not only the past that I try to control. My eyes wander constantly toward tomorrow, imagining scenarios I cannot predict, bracing myself for storms that may never come. I want certainty before I rest. I want guarantees before I breathe freely. Yet you whisper that I was never asked to carry tomorrow. I was only asked to walk faithfully in today. Tomorrow is yours, just as yesterday was, and trying to hold it myself only steals the present moment from me. So I surrender it now. Father, the future I cannot see, the outcomes I cannot design, the fears I cannot silence, They belong to you. Father, I confess how hard it is to release people I love into your care. My instinct is to protect, to shield, to fix what I see breaking. But my love is limited, and my reach is small. I cannot guard every heart, prevent every wound, or solve every struggle. And yet, you can. You are the one who loves them more than I ever could. You are the one who sees what I cannot. So give me courage to release them into your care, not abandoning them, but entrusting them to the one who never abandons. Let me rest in the truth that my prayers can carry them further than my hands ever will. Father, I also hold tightly to my plans, my timelines, my expectations. I sketch the picture of how I think life should unfold. And when reality does not match my drawing, frustration rises in me. But this morning, I choose to lay down the blueprint. You see the whole design when I see only fragments. You weave threads into a tapestry when I see only tangled knots. So I loosen my grip on how I think things should be, and I ask you to shape them according to your wisdom. Even if it looks different, even if it takes longer, even if it leads me down paths I did not anticipate, I choose to trust that your way is better. Father, letting go does not mean apathy. It does not mean I stop caring or trying. It means I stop pretending to be the master of what only you can govern. It means I stop exhausting myself by fighting battles that were never mine. It means I release my false sense of control so that I can receive the peace you freely give. And that takes courage, not because you are untrustworthy, but because my fear runs deep. Courage is not the absence of fear, but the decision to surrender despite it. So give me that courage now. Father, teach me to trust you more than I trust my own grasp. Help me to notice the signs that my heart is clinging too tightly when anxiety spikes, when frustration builds, when bitterness lingers, when my mind cannot rest. Let those be reminders not of failure, but of invitation, invitations to return, to release again, to whisper quietly, "This is yours." Father, each time I let go, teach me that surrender is not loss but freedom. It creates space for peace, space for joy, space for grace to enter where control once ruled. Father, let my letting go become an act of worship. Let it honor you as the one who holds all things together, the one who sees beyond what I see, the one whose hands are strong enough to carry what crushes me. Let it remind me daily that my worth is not in how well I manage outcomes, but in how fully I trust you. Let it shape the way I walk into this day, not rigid and clenched, but open and free. So now, Father, I breathe deeply, unclenching my fists once more. I release yesterday with all its weight. I release tomorrow with all its unknowns. I release the people I love, trusting that you love them more. I release my plans, my expectations, my fragile sense of control, and in releasing, I make space. Space for peace to return, space for joy to grow, space for your spirit to lead. This is the courage to let go, to trust that when my hands are empty, yours are full, and that is enough. Father, after learning the courage to let go, I feel both lighter and more aware of how vulnerable surrender can make me. When my hands release what I once gripped tightly, there is an emptiness that feels risky, as though I will be left with nothing. But you gently remind me that letting go is not the end, it is the beginning of receiving. And so this morning I want to rest in the truth that you are the one who provides, even when I feel as though I am standing in a wilderness with no clear source of strength or supply. You know, Father, that wilderness seasons often frighten me. They are the places where comfort is stripped away, where certainty disappears, where every step feels dry and uninviting. Yet time and again, your word shows me that wilderness is not a place of abandonment, but a place of provision. Manna fell in the desert, water flowed from unlikely rocks, and your people were sustained day by day. Not by their own ability, but by your faithful care. I ask you to let me believe that the same is true for me today. Even here, even now, even in my own wilderness moments, you have not forgotten me. Father, I confess that I sometimes confuse provision with abundance. I expect overflowing answers, obvious blessings, visible abundance before I feel satisfied, but you often teach me provision in smaller, quieter ways, just enough strength for today, just enough clarity to take the next step, just enough encouragement to keep going. And if I look more closely, I see how beautiful that is. Just enough is not lack. Just enough is your way of keeping me close, teaching me to rely not on stored security, but on daily dependence. Teach me to receive provision, not as insufficiency, but as intimacy with you. There are moments when my heart aches for what feels missing. I pray for answers that have not come, for resources that feel scarce, for opportunities that seem delayed. But you remind me that the wilderness is never without your presence. Even when my surroundings feel barren, you are the living source within me. You are the bread that nourishes my spirit, the water that revives my soul, the shelter that covers me when I feel exposed. Provision is not always what I hold in my hands, it is who holds me in his. Father, I want to live with eyes open to the subtle ways you provide. The text message from a friend at the right moment. The verse that meets me when my heart is weary. The unexpected strength that rises when I thought I had none left. These are not coincidences. They are manna scattered across my path, gentle reminders that I am seen and sustained. Help me not to overlook them in my search for something grander. Help me to see them as sacred, as proof that you are near, that you are attentive, that you are faithful. And Father, let this truth settle in me so deeply that I stop comparing my portion to someone else. In the wilderness, manna was given equally, enough for each household, never more and never less. If I am tempted to envy the blessings of others, remind me that my portion is tailored to me. It is enough for my journey, my calling, my needs. Comparison only blinds me to the sufficiency already present in my life. Gratitude, on the other hand, opens my heart to joy. So let me live in gratitude for the portion you place before me today, whether it feels abundant or simple. If it is from you, it is enough. Father, I know there will be days when provision does not look like I imagined. Sometimes it comes disguised as delay, as discipline, as lessons I would not have chosen. Sometimes it feels like emptiness before fullness. But even then, you are working. Even then, you are shaping me. Let me trust that provision is not always about receiving what I want, but about becoming who I am called to be. Even the wilderness has purpose, and even the dry places can prepare me for the promised land you have set before me. As I step into this day, Father, let me carry the assurance that I will not walk hungry. My spirit will not starve. My hope will not wither. My faith will not dry out, not because of my strength, but because of your sustaining power. You have never failed to provide what was truly needed, and I believe you will not start failing now. Let this confidence quiet my anxieties and calm my restless striving. Let me walk with open hands, ready to receive, ready to notice, ready to give thanks. And Father, let me also be willing to share out of the provision I have received. The wilderness becomes lighter when burdens are shared, when blessings are extended. If I see someone else hungry for hope, help me offer encouragement. If I notice someone weary, let me extend kindness. If someone is struggling to believe, they will be sustained. Let my story remind them they are not alone. Your provision is not meant only for me, it is meant to ripple outward, multiplying as it is shared. So I pause here. Father, in the quiet of the morning, and I choose trust once again. I will not fear the wilderness, for you are with me in it. I will not despise the portion, for you have made it enough. I will not demand tomorrow's bread, for today's manna is a gift. I will not mistake silence for absence, for you are always present, always providing, always sustaining. And so I walk forward with steady faith, believing that even in barren places, my shepherd will lead me. My Father will provide for me, and my soul will never be left without what it needs. Father, after resting in the assurance of your provision, even in the wilderness, I feel you inviting me to take another step, one that requires courage, honesty, and trust. It is the step of leaving behind what has already been covered by your grace. I have carried memories and regrets like old baggage, sometimes so familiar that I mistake them for part of who I am. But you whisper gently that I am not defined by what lies behind me. You remind me that freedom begins when I stop dragging the past into the present. This morning, Father, I want to break free from what no longer belongs to me. You know the history I replay, the scenes that return uninvited, the words spoken long ago that still echo in my mind. Some of those memories bring shame, others bring sorrow, and still others bring anger that has never fully been released. I tell myself I have moved on, but my spirit feels the weight of chains that keep rattling whenever I try to walk forward. Father, I do not want to live this way anymore. I do not want yesterday as shadows to block today's light. I want to walk unbound, trusting that you have already covered what I cannot change. Father, remind me that freedom is not forgetting, but remembering with new eyes. The past will always exist, but it does not have to control me. Mistakes do not erase your love. Failures do not cancel my future. Pain does not disqualify me from peace. What happened has shaped me, but it does not own me. You alone have the authority to define who I am, and you call me beloved, redeemed, chosen. So I ask you to break every tie that still binds me to the old version of myself, the one who believed shame was permanent, the one who thought freedom was impossible. Let me rise into the truth of who I am now, not who I used to be. Father, I realize that part of breaking free means forgiving myself. I have punished my own heart for things long since covered by your mercy. I have replayed decisions, wondering what life would look like if I had chosen differently. But that kind of dwelling only keeps me stuck. You do not look at me and see failure. You look at me and see potential. You do not call me back into shame. You call me forward into purpose. Teach me to extend to myself the same grace you extend daily. Teach me to speak truth over my own soul instead of lies. Teach me to walk like someone who believes they are free. And Father, for the memories of pain inflicted by others, I ask for release as well. I do not want to be tethered to the harm done to me, reliving moments that keep my heart in chains. I want to rise above bitterness, not by denying what happened, but by refusing to let it define the rest of my life. I entrust those moments to you, the tears, the anger, the broken trust. They no longer get to own my future. You are my future. Your love is stronger than what wounded me, and your healing is deeper than the scars I carry. Let me live as someone who has been set free, not someone still shackled to yesterday's pain. Father, help me recognize when the past tries to creep back in disguise. Sometimes it shows up as fear of repeating old mistakes. Sometimes it appears as hesitation to embrace new opportunities. Sometimes it whispers that nothing will ever change. When those lies surface, let me answer them with truth. Let me declare that I am not the same person I was, because I walk with you now. Let me believe that new beginnings are possible, because your mercy is new every morning. Let me live with courage, stepping boldly into today without dragging the weight of yesterday along. I ask you to replace the heaviness of the past with the lightness of hope. Let hope rise in me like morning sun, scattering the long shadows of regret. Let peace settle where turmoil used to live. Let joy blossom where sorrow once lingered. Let faith carry me further than fear ever did. And let my story become a testimony not of how perfect I am, but of how powerful your grace has been in setting me free. May others see my life and know that freedom is possible for them too, no matter how heavy their past feels. Father, sometimes breaking free feels frightening because the past, though painful, is familiar. There is comfort in what is known, even when it hurts. But you call me into something greater, something alive, something unknown but full of promise. Give me courage to step into that unknown with faith. Teach me to trust that I will not be left empty. That new joy will replace old sorrow. That new opportunities will rise where old failures once stood. Let me lean into that promise today, trusting that you are doing something new in me, even now. So here in the quiet of this morning, I choose freedom. I choose to set down the chains. I choose to release the regrets. I choose to believe that yesterday is not stronger than today. and that tomorrow is already secure in you. Father, break me free from the weight of what has passed, and let me walk forward with unshakable trust, steady joy, and a heart fully open to the new life you are shaping within me. Father, after breaking free from the weight of the past, I feel both relieved and a little unsteady. Freedom leaves me standing in an open space where the familiar chains no longer exist. Yet the path forward feels daunting. What do I do with this newness? How do I live beyond regret, beyond pain, beyond the false identities I once carried? The answer I sense rising gently in my heart is this: I begin again. And though beginning again requires courage, I do not always feel. I know that with you, Father, I am never left to start over alone. You know the hesitation that lingers in me. Part of me is afraid to step forward because I worry I will stumble the same way I did before. Another part of me wonders if new beginnings are even possible for someone like me, someone who has already walked through so much failure and disappointment. But then you remind me of the countless times you gave fresh starts to those who came before me. Broken vessels became carriers of light. Wounded hearts became voices of truth. Empty hands were filled with new callings. With you, failure is never final and weakness is never the end of the story. You turn ashes into beauty, endings into new chapters, despair into hope. If you could do it for them, Father, you can do it for me. Beginning again does not mean pretending the past never happened. It means rising from it renewed, shaped, and prepared. It means allowing old lessons to fuel new wisdom, old pain to deepen new compassion, and old regrets to give way to new courage. It means saying yes to life again, not because I have all the answers, but because I trust the one who holds them. Beginning again is not about proving my strength, but about leaning into yours. I cannot rebuild by my own willpower, but I can start fresh by resting in your grace. Father, I ask you to strengthen my heart for this new beginning, where fear whispers that I am not ready. Speak courage where shame tries to convince me that I am disqualified. Speak truth where doubt suggests that nothing will change. Speak promise. Replace the trembling of my spirit with steady confidence, not in myself, but in you. Let me step forward today with the quiet assurance that every sunrise is proof of second chances. Every breath is a reminder of your faithfulness. Every step is an opportunity to trust again. Sometimes, Father, beginning again feels small. It may look like forgiving one more time, choosing kindness when I want to stay closed, or showing up when it feels easier to withdraw. Help me see that these small steps matter. They build the foundation of newness. They are the bricks laid one by one that eventually create something lasting. Teach me not to despise the small beginnings, but to cherish them as seeds of transformation. Remind me that even the grandest stories of redemption start with quiet decisions to trust again. And Father, I do not want to begin again only for myself. I want to bring others along with me. Let my new beginning inspire someone else who feels trapped in their ending. Let my willingness to rise again remind someone else that they can too. Let my story, fragile as it is, become a testimony of resilience rooted in your love. Make my life a beacon to those who think their chance has passed, showing them that with you, the invitation to start over never expires. Father, I also recognize that beginning again will not always be smooth. There will be days when I feel like slipping back into old patterns. There will be moments when discouragement tempts me to give up. But in those moments, remind me that stumbling does not cancel the journey. Falling does not erase the progress. Each day is another chance to rise, another opportunity to reset, another invitation to return to you. Teach me to live in rhythms of grace, where each failure becomes a stepping stone rather than a stumbling block, where each setback becomes a lesson rather than a label. As I start anew, Father, help me build not on shaky ground, but on the solid foundation of your love. Let me set aside the pressure to construct a life that impresses others, and instead focus on building a life rooted in faith, kindness, and trust. Let my priorities shift toward what truly matters, loving well, living honestly, walking humbly with you. Let me not chase approval, but pursue authenticity. Let me not cling to control, but embrace surrender. This is the kind of beginning that lasts, the kind of beginning that changes me from the inside out. So this morning, Father, I take a deep breath and open my heart to the newness you are offering. I may not feel completely ready, but readiness is not what you ask for. You ask for willingness, and that I can give with trembling hands and hopeful spirit. I step into the day before me. I leave behind the ruins of yesterday and embrace the possibility of today. I trust that what you begin in me, you will carry to completion. I believe that no matter how many times I must start over, you will meet me each time with grace that never runs dry. This is my prayer. Father, give me strength to begin again, not in fear, not in shame, not in striving, but in faith. And let every step I take today remind me that with you, every ending holds the seed of a new beginning, and every dawn carries the promise of hope reborn. Father, after finding the strength to step into newness, I now recognize that beginning again is not a single moment, but an ongoing posture of the heart. Each day brings its own invitation to rise, to start fresh, to embrace what lies ahead without being bound by what has already passed. And yet, Father, I know how fragile that courage can feel. The temptation to shrink back is constant. The pull of familiar patterns is strong. That is why this morning I ask for something deeper than resolve. I ask for the courage to begin again, not just once, but as many times as it takes. You see how easily discouragement tries to plant itself in me. One setback whispers that I should give up. One failure insists that change is impossible. One disappointment tempts me to stop hoping. But you remind me that courage is not the absence of those voices, it is the choice to rise anyway. Courage does not wait for confidence. Courage does not demand perfection. Courage simply says, I will try again. And Father, that is what I long for today, the holy determination to keep beginning again, even when my heart feels weary. Father, teach me to see each sunrise as proof of your mercy. The day itself is evidence that starting again is always possible. Yesterday's mistakes do not define me today. Yesterday's sorrow does not erase today's joy. Yesterday's silence does not cancel today's hope. With every morning you are writing a new story, and my role is not to control it, but to step into it with trust. Let me receive this day not as a burden, but as a fresh canvas, a chance to paint with new colors of faith, gratitude, and love. Courage to begin again also means courage to risk again. Father, you know how often I hesitate because of fear of rejection, fear of failure, fear of loss. These fears press against me like walls, convincing me that it is safer not to try. But safety can also be a prison. You call me not to a life of smallness, but to a life of faith. Remind me that even if I stumble in your hands. Even if I fall into grace. And even if I fail, I am not finished, because you are never finished with me. Help me to live with boldness that leans on your strength rather than my own. Father, sometimes beginning again means repairing what has been broken. Relationships left strained, trust left fragile, words left unspoken, all of these weigh on my heart. It feels easier to avoid them, to pretend they no longer matter. But you call me to reconciliation where it is possible. Give me courage to extend kindness where bitterness has lingered, to reach out where silence has grown heavy, to speak gently where walls have been built. Even if the outcome is uncertain, the attempt itself is holy. Remind me that courage is not measured by success, but by obedience to your leading. And Father, sometimes beginning again means walking away from what no longer aligns with your will. There are things I cling to that drain me, paths I follow that lead nowhere, habits I repeat that hold me captive. Give me courage to release them, not with resentment, but with trust that letting go creates space for something better. Help me to see that not every ending is failure. Some endings are freedom. Some doors close so that new ones can open. Some chapters end so that a greater story can unfold. Give me courage to step away when you call me forward. Courage to begin again also means courage to dream again. Father, there are desires in my heart that I buried because disappointment told me they were impossible. There are passions I silenced because I believed they no longer mattered. But you are the giver of dreams, and I believe you place them in me not to torment me, but to guide me toward the life you have called me to live. Awaken those dreams again. Father, give me courage to nurture them, to pursue them, to believe that no delay and no failure can erase what you have planted. Let me dream not with arrogance, but with humility, not with fear, but with faith. Father, I know beginning again will not always look dramatic. Sometimes it is quiet, hidden, ordinary. It is choosing patience when I want to rush. It is choosing gratitude when I want to complain. It is choosing forgiveness when I want to resent. Give me eyes to see these small acts as beginnings too. Sacred seeds of change that grow into transformation. Let me not overlook the quiet courage it takes to choose goodness in small ways each day. So, Father, I stand here in this moment, aware of my fragility, but also aware of your strength. I know I cannot guarantee a flawless path forward. I cannot promise that I will never stumble again, but I can promise this: I will keep returning. I will keep rising. I will keep beginning again. And I will trust that every time I do, You are there steady, faithful, unchanging, ready to meet me where I am and lead me where I need to go. This is the courage I seek today. Father, the courage to keep starting, the courage to keep walking, the courage to keep believing that with you, every new beginning is possible. Father, after learning the courage to begin again, I realize that new beginnings often do not unfold as quickly as I expect. There are seasons when the start is marked not by immediate progress, but by waiting, by silence, by long stretches where I cannot yet see the fruit of the seeds I have planted. Beginning again takes courage, but remaining faithful in the waiting requires strength I often lack. And so this morning, Father, I come to you asking for the strength to wait well, to live with patience, to hold on to hope when answers feel delayed. You know, Father, how restless I become in seasons of waiting. I want resolution, movement, momentum. I want to see evidence that things are changing. But often, the waiting is where you are shaping me most deeply. In the hidden soil of delay, roots grow stronger. In the silence, faith is tested and refined. In the in-between, I learn to trust not in outcomes, but in you. And though my heart resists this truth, I want to lean into it today. I want to see waiting not as wasted time, but as holy time, where unseen growth is happening beneath the surface. Father, I admit that waiting exposes my weaknesses. My doubts rise more loudly. My fears creep in more easily. My patience wears thin, yet you remind me that weakness is not something to fear, but something to bring to you. Waiting is not about proving my endurance. It is about discovering yours. You never grow weary. You never grow impatient. You never lose sight of the promises you have spoken. And so, in the waiting, I can borrow your strength. I can lean into your steady presence when my own feels unsteady. Help me, Father, to shift the way I see waiting. Let me see it not as punishment, but as preparation. Not as emptiness, but as space for you to work. Not as silence, but as a quiet classroom where I learn lessons that cannot be taught any other way. Teach me to listen more closely in the waiting, to notice the subtle whispers of your spirit, to find beauty in the stillness that rush often blinds me, to let waiting refine me rather than frustrate me. Let it deepen me rather than harden me. Let it grow gratitude instead of resentment. Father, I think of how seeds lie in the ground, invisible for a time, yet full of life waiting to emerge. If I judged too quickly, I might call them dead, but beneath the soil, something sacred is happening. Waiting is their season of hidden transformation, the unseen work that makes new life possible. Teach me to see my waiting seasons in the same way, even when nothing looks different, even when I cannot measure progress. Help me trust that you are working beneath the surface, preparing something that will one day bloom. And Father, I ask for patience not only with circumstances, but with myself. In the waiting, I am often harsh with my own heart, accusing myself of not being strong enough or faithful enough. But you are not impatient with me. You are not tallying my shortcomings. You are inviting me to rest in your grace. Even here, even now, Help me to treat myself with the same gentleness you extend to me. Help me to remember that waiting is not a sign of weakness, but an opportunity to rest in the one who carries me. Father, while I wait, give me eyes to see what I can do today. Waiting does not mean paralysis. It means choosing faithfulness in the small things. A kind word spoken, a prayer whispered, a step taken in trust. These things matter. They are part of the unfolding story, even if they do not feel dramatic. Teach me that obedience in the waiting is as valuable as breakthrough in the harvest. Let me be faithful here, knowing that nothing is wasted in your hands. And Father, help me resist the temptation to compare my waiting with someone else's progress. I see others moving forward, receiving answers, living in seasons of abundance, and I wonder why my story feels slower. But you remind me that each journey is different, each timeline unique. What looks like delay for me may be the exact rhythm my soul needs. Let me rest in that truth. Let me celebrate others without bitterness and trust that my time will come in your perfect way. So, Father, as I step into today, I choose to see waiting not as an obstacle, but as a place of transformation. I choose to believe that patience is not passivity, but power. I choose to trust that what you are building in me during this season will be stronger and deeper than anything I could rush into. Give me strength to hold on when I feel tired, courage to hope when answers are unseen, and peace to rest in the assurance that your timing is never late. Let this waiting become worship. Let every moment of delay become an offering of trust. Let my restless heart be stilled by the knowledge that you are working, even when I cannot see it. Father, give me strength in the waiting, and let that strength carry me forward with quiet confidence that the one who holds time also holds me. Father, after learning to endure in the waiting, I realize that the strength to wait faithfully is tied to trust that you will provide in ways beyond what I can see or imagine. Waiting without trust feels like wandering in circles, but waiting with trust becomes a steady walk toward something promised, even if the details remain hidden. And so this morning I want to lean more fully into the truth of who you are, the God who provides abundantly, not sparingly, the one who sees needs before they are spoken, the one whose generosity is not limited by my circumstances. Father, you know the places in my life where scarcity seems loudest. Sometimes it is the scarcity of resources, when I worry about how bills will be paid or how opportunities will come. Other times it is the scarcity of strength, when my body and spirit feel drained, and I wonder if I have anything left to give. And sometimes it is the scarcity of hope, when unanswered prayers whisper that nothing will change. Yet each time I focus on lack, you gently redirect me to look at your abundance. The fields may seem empty to me, but you remind me that harvests often begin in hidden places, roots deep in the soil, growth invisible to the eye. Provision is often already at work, long before it rises into view. Father, teach me to trust not in the size of what I see, but in the greatness of who you are. You fed thousands with a handful of loaves and fish. You filled jars with oil that never ran dry. You poured water from a rock in the desert, again and again. You showed that provision is not about resources, but about relationship with the provider. If you could care for generations past, surely you can care for me now. Let this truth sink deeper than my fears. Let it shape my perspective so that I no longer measure life by what feels lacking, but by the abundance of your presence that never runs out. Sometimes, Father, provision does not look the way I expect. I ask for one thing, but you provide another. I seek ease, but you provide endurance. I seek comfort, but you provide courage. I seek solutions, but you provide strength to keep walking. Help me to see that these, too, are abundance. They may not match my requests, but they always meet my true need. Open my eyes to the creative, surprising ways you provide, so that I do not overlook miracles disguised as ordinary moments. Let gratitude rise in me for the unexpected gifts I often miss. Father, I also confess that sometimes I try to provide for myself in ways that leave me empty. I chase after things that promise security but cannot sustain me. I rely on my own striving instead of resting in your care. I worry as though everything depends on me, when in truth, everything depends on you. Teach me to release the illusion of self-sufficiency and embrace the reality of divine dependence. You are not asking me to be the source. You are asking me to stay close to the source. And that changes everything. I can rest because you do not. Father, let this trust move me from fear into generosity. When I live in scarcity, I cling tightly to what little I have. But when I trust in your abundance, I can open my hands. I can share without fear of running out. I can give joyfully, knowing that every seed sown in love is multiplied in your kingdom. Teach me to live not as a hoarder of blessings, but as a channel of them. Let others experience your provision through my willingness to trust you enough to give. Make my life a testimony that the more I release, the more space there is for you to fill. And Father, I ask for peace when provision feels delayed. You know how anxious I can become when prayers seem unanswered, when doors stay closed longer than I hoped. In those moments, remind me that delay is not denial. Remind me that provision often comes at the right time, not my time. Remind me that abundance is not always measured in possessions or success, but in peace, love, and strength that cannot be taken away. Let me trust that you are weaving together something greater than I can imagine, even if I do not yet see the threads. So, Father, as I step into this day, I choose to trust in your abundant provision, not only for material needs, but for spiritual ones too. Provide me with patience when I grow restless. Provide me with wisdom when choices are unclear. Provide me with courage when fear rises. Provide me with hope when despair whispers. Provide me with joy that cannot be stolen. Let me walk with the quiet confidence that I will never lack what truly matters, because you are the shepherd who ensures I lack nothing. This morning, Father, I open my hands once more. I release the grip of fear and the weight of worry. I choose to believe that the same God who clothes the lilies and feeds the sparrows will not forget me. I choose to believe that your abundance is not fragile, not temporary, not dependent on what I see. It flows endlessly from your heart, and it is more than enough for me today. Let me walk in that truth, Father, carrying it into every thought, every conversation, every step. For when I trust in your abundant provision, my soul is free, my spirit is steady, and my heart is filled with peace that nothing else can give. Father, after choosing to trust in your abundant provision, I notice how my heart begins to settle into a deeper stillness. When I believe that you will care for me in every way, worry loosens its grip and peace begins to rise like a gentle tide. Yet, Father, I also know how fragile that peace can feel. One unexpected challenge, one anxious thought, one sharp word from someone I love, and my spirit trembles again. That is why this morning I ask not only for peace as a fleeting feeling, but for peace that guards my heart like a steady shield, keeping me anchored even when storms press against me. You see how easily I let fear creep back in. Sometimes it comes like a sudden wave, crashing over me without warning. Other times it seeps in quietly, like water through a crack, unnoticed until it floods my mind. I worry about tomorrow, about relationships, about things beyond my control. And in those moments, peace feels far away, like something I must chase but never catch. Yet your word reminds me that peace is not something I manufacture. It is a gift from you, a peace that surpasses understanding, a peace that does not depend on circumstances, a peace that guards not only my mind, but also the very core of who I am. Father, let this peace be more than comfort. Let it be protection. Guard my heart from the voices that try to unsettle me. Guard my mind from the lies that insist I am alone. Guard my spirit from the heaviness that seeks to pull me down. Let your peace be like walls of light around me, not to keep life away, but keep fear from consuming me. Let it remind me that no matter how loud the chaos becomes outside, there is a calm inside that cannot be stolen when it rests in you. I know, Father, that peace does not mean the absence of trouble. You never promised me a life without pain or conflict. But you promised me yourself, and that changes everything. If I walk through fire, you are with me. If I walk through rivers, I will not be swept away. If I face darkness, your light still shines. Peace is not the absence of difficulty. It is the presence of your nearness. Let me feel that nearness today, as real as the breath in my lungs. Let it be my anchor when everything else feels uncertain. Father, teach me to return to peace when I drift away. When my mind begins to race, help me to pause and breathe, remembering that every inhale draws in your spirit and every exhale releases what I cannot carry. When anxiety grips me, remind me to place those fears back into your hands. As many times as it takes, when anger tries to rise, let peace soften my words before they leave my mouth. When disappointment weighs me down, let peace remind me that my story is still being written. Train me to live not as someone chasing peace, but as someone already guarded by it. Father, I also ask that this peace overflow into the way I treat others. If my heart is guarded, then I do not need to respond with defensiveness. If my mind is steady, then I do not need to speak with harshness. If my spirit is secure, then I can extend patience where others expect frustration. Let peace become visible in me, not just in quiet moments alone, but in the way I live with others. Let it be the calm in conflict, the gentleness in misunderstanding, the stillness in hurried spaces. Make me a carrier of peace so that those who encounter me encounter you. And Father, when peace feels far away, remind me of the truth I often forget. Peace is not a feeling I must cling to, but a person I walk with. Jesus is my peace. His presence dismantles fear. His words still the storms. His love secures me when nothing else can. If I hold on to him, peace will hold on to me. Let me never separate the gift from the giver. Let me never forget that true peace is not found in quiet places, but in communion with you. Even in the noise, I can know peace, because even in the noise, I am never alone. Sometimes, Father, peace comes in whispers rather than waves. It is not dramatic, but steady. It is not loud, but sure. Teach me to notice those whispers today, in the warmth of sunlight on my face, in the laughter of someone I love, in the kindness of a stranger, in the rhythm of my own heartbeat. These simple moments are reminders that peace is already here, guarding me quietly, faithfully, continuously. Let me not overlook them in search of something bigger. Let me see them as holy gifts. So, Father, as I step into today, I choose to let peace be my guard. I will not let fear write my story. I will not let worry steal my joy. I will not let anger dictate my words. I will walk with the assurance that whatever comes, I am surrounded by peace that is stronger than my circumstances. I will trust that even if I cannot understand how, your Spirit will guard my heart and mind. And I will rest in the truth that this peace is not temporary but eternal, flowing endlessly from the one who never changes. Father, after finding comfort in the peace that guards my heart, I now realize how closely peace is tied to hope. Without hope, peace fades into resignation. Without peace, hope trembles under the weight of fear. But together, they form a foundation that keeps me steady when the future looks uncertain. And so this morning, Father, I want to dwell on hope, the kind of hope that is not fragile or fleeting, but hope rooted in you, hope that does not disappoint. You know how fragile my hope has felt at times. I have placed it in circumstances that shifted, in people who could not carry it, in dreams that eventually crumbled. Each time, disappointment pressed hard against my spirit, and I became hesitant to hope again. I told myself it was safer not to expect too much, safer to lower my desires, safer to guard my heart from being broken. But you whispered gently that hope in you is never wasted, never fragile, never vain. Because you are faithful, hope planted in you will always bear fruit, even if I cannot see it yet. Father, remind me that hope is not wishful thinking. It is not blind optimism. It is the steady assurance that you are who you say you are, and that you will do what you have promised. It is the anchor for my soul when waves of uncertainty try to carry me away. Hope is not about escaping reality. It is about facing reality with confidence that you are already at work within it. Help me to live with that kind of assurance today. Help me to speak hope when despair is easier, to choose hope when fear is louder, to carry hope even into places that feel dark. I confess, Father, that I often measure hope by how quickly prayers are answered. If answers delay, I begin to feel as though hope itself is slipping away. But you remind me that hope is not measured by speed, is measured by trust. True hope does not fade in the waiting. It deepens. It grows roots in the soil of patience, stretching down into faith that is not shaken by delay. Waiting may test me, but it does not destroy hope when my trust is in you. Instead, it purifies it, stripping away false expectations until only the steady confidence of your faithfulness remains. Father, help me to guard my heart from counterfeit hopes. The world tells me to place my hope in possessions, success, recognition, or comfort. But these things, while good in themselves, cannot sustain the weight of my soul. They crumble under pressure. They shift like shadows. They promise more than they can give. Only you can carry the full weight of my hope. Teach me to anchor my heart in what is eternal, not in what is temporary. Let my deepest expectation rest in you alone. And Father, I ask that hope not remain only an inner assurance, but also become an outward witness. Let others see in me a person who continues to hope even in difficulty, not a forced smile, not denial of pain, but authentic hope that shines through honesty. Let my hope become a light for someone walking in shadows, a reminder that despair is not the final word. Use my hope to lift weary hearts, to remind them that new beginnings are possible, that healing can come, that joy can rise again. Sometimes, Father, hope feels risky. It feels like opening my heart to disappointment again. But you remind me that with you, risk is transformed into trust. If my hope is in you, it cannot be wasted. Even if outcomes look different than I imagined, even if timing stretches longer than I desire, you will not let hope be in vain. You redeem every moment, every prayer, every tear. My hope may not always look the way I expect, but it will always lead me closer to you. And that is the truest fulfillment I could ever seek. Father, give me courage to hope boldly today. Let me not shrink back in fear of being let down. Let me not live with small expectations when you are the God of abundance. Let me not settle for cynicism when you invite me into trust. I want to hope with open hands, willing to receive whatever you choose to give, confident that it will always be good because it comes from you. Let hope rise in me like dawn, steady and bright, chasing away the shadows of doubt. And Father, let this hope sustain me when peace feels fragile, when anxiety rises. Let hope remind me that fear is temporary, but your promises are eternal. When disappointment knocks, let hope remind me that the story is not finished yet. When weariness weighs me down, let hope remind me that strength will rise again. Hope is the thread that ties me to tomorrow, the song that carries me through the night, the flame that flickers but that never goes out because you are the one who tends it. So here I am, Father, holding on to hope once more. Not shallow hope, not fragile hope, not hope built on shifting ground, but hope rooted in you, steady and sure. I believe you are faithful, even when I cannot see it. I believe your promises stand, even when everything else shakes. I believe that hope in you does not disappoint, because you never fail. And that is the hope I carry into this day, hope that steadies me, hope that strengthens me, hope that keeps my eyes lifted toward the one who holds it all. Father, after holding on to hope that does not disappoint, I realize that hope and peace are inseparably tied to something even deeper, the experience of your love. For when your love is alive in me, fear loses its power. Fear thrives in emptiness, but your love fills every corner of my soul. Fear thrives in uncertainty, but your love assures me that nothing can separate me from you. Fear thrives in isolation, but your love draws me close. And so this morning, Father, I ask not only to know about your love, but to feel it, to live in it, to let it cast out every shadow of fear. You know how many fears whisper in my heart: fear of failure, fear of rejection, fear of loss, fear of not being enough. These fears disguise themselves as caution, as reason, even as wisdom. But at their root they are lies that try to shrink my spirit. They whisper that I am alone, that I am unworthy, that I will be abandoned. But your love, Father, tells me something different. It speaks louder than every whisper. It says I am chosen, I am forgiven, I am held. And when I remember this, fear begins to unravel like thread pulled from the edge of a fabric until nothing of it remains. Father, teach me to rest in the truth that your love is not fragile or conditional. It is not based on my performance. It does not waver when I stumble. It does not grow distant when I struggle. It is steady, eternal, unshakable. You loved me before I even knew you, and you love me now in every season of my life. This love is not a concept, but a reality. And if I open myself to it, it can change everything about how I live today. With love as my foundation, I can walk into challenges without trembling. With love as my anchor, I can face rejection without despair. With love as my shield, I can look at uncertainty and still breathe with calm assurance. Father, I confess that I often let fear control my choices. I avoid risks because I am afraid of failure. I hold back words of kindness because I fear they won't be received. I stay quiet when I should speak because I am afraid of judgment. And yet you call me to a different way, the way of love. For perfect love does not just comfort me. It pushes me outward. It gives me courage to take steps I would never take on my own. It frees me to love others boldly, even when I am unsure how they will respond. It empowers me to live fully, rather than hiding in the shadows of hesitation. This is what I long for today. Father, the kind of love that does not just soothe my fears, but dissolves them entirely. Father, let your love reach into the corners of my heart I still keep hidden, the places where shame lingers, where wounds remain tender, where fear has built walls. Let your love dismantle those walls, brick by brick, until only openness remains. Let it teach me that vulnerability is not weakness, but the space where healing begins. Let it remind me that I do not need to pretend to be stronger than I am, because your love is strong enough to hold my fragility. If I am fully known and still fully loved, then there is nothing left to fear. And Father, let this love flow through me into the lives of others. Fear often makes me self-protective. closing me off from others' needs, but love opens my hands. It moves me toward compassion instead of judgment, generosity instead of withholding, courage instead of retreat. Help me to see people not through the lens of fear, but through the lens of your love. Teach me to respond to conflict with gentleness, to approach strangers with kindness, to walk into hard places with the assurance that love has already gone before me. Let love be the force that shapes my actions, not fear. Father, I also ask that you help me carry this love into the unknown. Fear often grows strongest when the future is unclear. But your love assures me that no matter what tomorrow holds, you will still be there, even if the path bends, even if storms rise, even if loss comes. Your love will not abandon me. Let that truth steady me when fear tries to return. Let it remind me that I am safe, not because I control the future, but because I am held by the one who does. So this morning, Father, I choose love over fear. I choose to let love define me rather than insecurity. I choose to let love guide me rather than anxiety. I choose to let love empower me rather than hesitation. Fear may still knock on the door of my heart, but it will find that the space is already filled with light, with truth, with love that is stronger than anything it can bring. And because I am loved, I will love. Because I am held, I will hold others. Because I am free, I will live fully. Let this love, Father, be my song today, casting out fear and filling every breath with courage. Father, after resting in the truth that your love casts out fear, I see more clearly how love also sustains me when the road is long. Fear often tries to paralyze me, but love urges me to keep going, to continue even when the journey feels weary. And now I realize that love alone gives me the courage to begin, but perseverance allows me to continue. This morning, Father, I ask you to cultivate within me the gift of perseverance, the steady strength to remain faithful through challenges, delays, and trials, trusting that each step forward has meaning even when progress feels slow. You know, Father, how easily I grow discouraged when change does not happen quickly. I pray for transformation, but old habits return. I pray for provision, but answers seem delayed. I pray for healing, but wounds take time to mend. In those moments, the temptation to quit whispers loudly, telling me that my prayers do not matter, that my efforts are wasted, that nothing will ever shift. Yet you remind me that perseverance is not about dramatic leaps. It is about faithful steps. It is about planting seeds and trusting they will grow in their season. It is about showing up again and again, not because the path is easy, because the one who calls me is faithful. Father, perseverance often feels like a hidden strength, one that is not always celebrated. The world praises quick results, instant success, visible breakthroughs. But you value endurance. You bless the steady, unseen choices, the quiet faithfulness, the resilience that presses on when no one is watching, the determination to rise again after falling. Teach me to embrace that kind of perseverance. Let me not measure my worth by speed or by results, but by the faithfulness of my journey with you. Father, I confess that I often want shortcuts. I want to skip the process and reach the outcome. I want the testimony without the test. I want the harvest without the waiting. Yet you remind me that perseverance shapes me in ways ease never could. It strengthens my faith like muscles built under weight. It deepens my trust like roots pushing through hard soil. It refines my character like gold tested in fire. The very struggles I wish away are often the tools you use to prepare me for what lies ahead. Help me to see trials not as signs of abandonment, but as opportunities to grow in endurance. Sometimes, Father, perseverance means getting up after failure. You know the moments when I have fallen, when I have spoken words I regret, when I have chosen fear instead of trust. In those times, shame tells me to stop trying, but your grace tells me to rise again. Teach me that perseverance is not perfection. It is not a flawless journey without missteps. It is the decision to return each time, to continue even when yesterday was hard, to trust that your mercy is new every morning. Each day is another chance to keep going. And Father, perseverance also means holding on to hope when answers are unseen. It is easy to grow weary when prayers stretch long, when silence feels heavy, when outcomes seem distant. But perseverance trusts that silence is not the end. It believes that you are still working, even when I cannot see it. It holds on to the truth that promises fulfilled often take time, and that your timing is not measured by my impatience. Strengthen me to endure in these seasons. Father, let my hope not wither but deepen. Let my waiting not weaken me but refine me. Father, I ask too for perseverance in love. It is easy to love when people are kind, but harder when they are difficult. It is easy to forgive once, but harder to forgive repeatedly. It is easy to extend grace for small things, but harder when wounds cut deep. Yet true love perseveres. Teach me to love steadily, not only when it feels convenient, but when it requires sacrifice. Teach me to remain gentle even when I am tired, to stay compassionate even when I feel stretched, to keep choosing kindness even when it is not returned. Let my perseverance in love be a reflection of the way you love me, steadfast, unchanging, unending. Father, when perseverance feels impossible, remind me that I am not persevering alone. You walk with me, strengthening me, lifting me, breathing courage into me when I want to give up. Your spirit within me gives power I do not have on my own. I may be weak, but you are strong, and your strength is made perfect in weakness. Let me lean into that truth today, not relying on my limited endurance, but drawing from your limitless supply. With you, I can continue. With you, I can endure. With you, I can finish the race set before me. So, Father, as I step into this day, I ask for the gift of perseverance. Let it carry me through challenges, through disappointments, through uncertainties. Let it remind me that faithfulness matters more than speed, that resilience matters more than perfection, that showing up again and again matters more than quick victories. And let me walk with the quiet confidence that each step taken with you is never wasted, even if I stumble, even if I falter, even if progress feels slow. Perseverance will lead me forward, because you are leading me forward, and with you. Father, I will endure to the end. Father, after receiving the gift of perseverance, I begin to see that endurance is not just about surviving my own struggles, but about being able to turn outward, even while the journey continues. Perseverance strengthens me so that I can look beyond myself. And when I do, I discover the deeper joy you have woven into life, the joy of serving others. For love does not remain still. It moves outward. It stretches its hands. It bends low. It gives. And in serving, I find myself more alive, more free, more deeply rooted in the very purpose for which you created me. You know, Father, how often I have been tempted to retreat into self-preservation. When I feel weak, my instinct is to protect myself, to focus only on my needs, to hold tightly to the little strength I think I have left. But you remind me that joy is found not in clinging, but in giving. Serving is not a draining obligation, but a gift of renewal. When I pour myself out for others, you fill me again. When I give, I am not diminished, I am multiplied. Teach me to live in that paradox, where sacrifice becomes abundance and service becomes joy. Father, I confess that sometimes I have misunderstood serving. I thought it required grand gestures, dramatic acts, or recognition from others. But you show me that service is often quiet, ordinary, hidden. It is listening with patience when someone needs to speak. It is offering kindness when no one is watching. It is carrying another's burden in prayer when they cannot carry it themselves. These are the moments that reflect your heart. These are the small but holy acts that remind me that love is not measured by size, but by sincerity. Let me not despise the small ways of serving, for they may be the very places where your love shines most clearly. And Father, give me the humility to serve without expecting anything in return. My pride wants acknowledgement. My ego wants appreciation. My heart wants to feel important. But true service flows from love, not from the desire for reward. Teach me to serve quietly, faithfully, even when no one sees, even when no one thanks me, even when no one understands the cost. For you see, you notice, and you remind me that nothing done in love is ever wasted, even if it is unseen by the world. Let me live with that freedom, the freedom to give without demanding, to love without conditions, to serve without fear of being overlooked. Father, I also ask for discernment in serving. Sometimes I rush into helping others in ways that are more about me than them. I give advice when I should give silence. I offer solutions when I should offer presence. I take control when I should simply support. Teach me to serve wisely, guided not by impulse but by your Spirit. Let me ask, what does this person truly need? Rather than, what will make me feel helpful? Let my serving be a reflection of your wisdom, not my need to prove myself. And Father, let service stretch beyond those who are easy to love. It is simple to serve those who thank me, who reciprocate kindness, who bring joy in return. But you call me to serve even those who are difficult, even those who misunderstand me, even those who may never acknowledge what has been given. That kind of service requires more than goodwill. It requires your love flowing through me. Give me the grace to serve without conditions, to see people through the lens of their worth in you, not through the lens of how they treat me. Let me remember that every act of service to another is, in truth, an act of service to you. Father, remind me also that service is not limited to actions, but is an attitude of the heart. It is choosing patience instead of frustration. It is choosing gentleness instead of harshness. It is choosing to put others before myself in countless small decisions throughout the day. These are the hidden offerings that transform ordinary life into worship. Let me not think of service only as tasks I perform, but as a posture I carry an open-handed, open-hearted readiness to love. And Father, I thank you that in serving, I am not left empty. I have known the moments when giving felt costly, when sacrifice was hard, when energy was low, yet each time, I discovered that you refill what I pour out. You provide strength, encouragement, joy. Service becomes not a burden, but a source of life, because you meet me in it. You remind me that I am most like you when I give, for you yourself came not to be served, but to serve, and to give your life as the ultimate offering. When I serve, I reflect the very heartbeat of who you are. So, Father, as I step into today, let me walk with eyes open to opportunities to serve, not grand gestures, but small acts, not with heaviness, but with joy, not to be seen, but to reflect you. Let service be the rhythm of my life, the overflow of a heart that has been loved deeply. Let it carry me beyond self-centered, living into the freedom of love poured out. And as I serve, let me discover again and again that the joy of giving is greater than the comfort of keeping, and that in serving others, I find myself closer to you. Father, after discovering the joy of serving others, I realize that service itself flows best from a heart of gratitude. Without gratitude, service becomes duty. Without gratitude, giving becomes heavy. But when my heart is thankful, even the smallest act shines with meaning, and even ordinary moments become extraordinary. Gratitude is the lens that transforms how I see you, how I see myself, and how I see others. And so this morning, Father, I ask you to awaken in me a deeper spirit of thankfulness, a gratitude that burns like light in the darkest corners of my life. You know how often I take things for granted. I wake to the gift of breath, yet I hurry through the morning without pausing to acknowledge it. I walk on strong legs, yet I rarely remember that strength is a gift. I drink water, eat food, receive kindness, witness beauty, and yet my heart sometimes rushes past these treasures as though they were guaranteed. But they are not. Every gift, every moment, every breath comes from you. Gratitude is not simply good manners, it is a holy posture. It is the daily acknowledgement that nothing I have is truly mine. It is all grace, all gift, all provision from your hand. Father, gratitude is powerful because it shifts my focus. Fear tells me to look at what is lacking. Worry tells me to focus on what is uncertain. Envy tells me to compare myself to others, but gratitude redirects my gaze. It lifts my eyes away from scarcity and fixes them on abundance. It reminds me that even when life feels incomplete, I am still surrounded by goodness. Gratitude silences complaint and gives birth to joy. It is the bridge between what I long for and what I already hold. Teach me to walk across that bridge daily, to let thankfulness reframe my perspective until my heart learns to rest. Father, sometimes gratitude is easy. It flows naturally when blessings are visible, when prayers are answered, when life feels full. But true gratitude goes deeper. It persists even in difficulty, even in waiting, even in pain. That kind of gratitude does not deny hardship. It acknowledges it while choosing to see your hand at work within it. It thanks you not only for what has been given, but for what is being shaped, even when unseen. It trusts that even in sorrow, something sacred can be found. Teach me to practice that kind of gratitude, the kind that holds both joy and sorrow in the same hand and still says, "You are good." Father, help me to notice the small gifts today. The sunlight through the window, the laughter of a child, the quiet strength of a friend who stays, the fragrance of rain, the peace that comes in a moment of stillness. These small things are not small at all. They are reminders that you are near, that life is still rich, that beauty still exists in abundance. Gratitude grows when I pay attention. So train my eyes to see what I often overlook, to pause long enough to name what is good, to let thankfulness rise like prayer from even the smallest details of the day. And Father, let gratitude shape the way I treat others. A thankful heart does not demand, does not manipulate, does not cling. A thankful heart gives freely because it knows it has already received much. Let my gratitude overflow into kindness, into patience, into generosity. Let me say thank you not only to you, but also to those around me, affirming the value of their presence and their love. Teach me to express gratitude in words and in actions, to let people feel seen and appreciated. Gratitude multiplies when it is shared, and I want my life to multiply it in every direction. Father, I also ask for gratitude in the hidden places of my heart, the areas where discontent often hides. When I feel restless, let gratitude remind me of the blessings I already carry. When I feel unseen, let gratitude remind me that you always notice me. When I feel empty, let gratitude remind me that fullness is not always measured in material things, but in love, peace, and purpose. Gratitude fills the gaps that nothing else can. It teaches me to hold today with reverence, to treat this moment as holy ground. Father, I thank you for the gift of remembering. Gratitude often begins in memory, looking back and seeing how you have carried me through, how you have provided in times I thought I would not survive, how you have turned sorrow into strength, how you have surprised me with blessings I never expected. Let memory fuel my gratitude so that I can face today with courage. If you were faithful before, you will be faithful again. Gratitude is the echo of faith, the reminder that what you have done before, you will continue to do. So, Father, as I step into this day, I choose gratitude as my light. Let it illuminate every moment, driving away shadows of fear. comparison, and discontent. Let it steady me when life feels uncertain. Let it soften me when I feel hardened. Let it remind me that I am not lacking, that I am not forgotten, that I am not empty. I am full of grace, full of gifts, full of love that I did not earn but freely receive. And as gratitude fills me, let it shine outward so that others may see it and be lifted too. Let today be marked not by what I fear, by what I thank you for. Father, as I arrive at this final stretch of my morning prayer journey, my heart feels both full and tender. The first cry of surrender in weakness to these closing reflections on gratitude and love. You have led me through valleys and lifted me onto higher ground. I sense that every chapter, every whispered word, every moment of quiet connection has been shaping me, not just for this morning, but for the days yet to come. And now, Father, I want to rest in the fullness of your presence, the place where all my searching finds its home, the place where every longing meets its answer, the place where my spirit can simply breathe and know it is enough to be with you. You know how restless my heart has been throughout this journey. I came to you with burdens, with questions, with regrets, with hopes fragile and trembling. And slowly, prayer by prayer, you have met me where I am. You have reminded me that I am not defined by my failures, not abandoned in my struggles, not forgotten in my waiting. You have given me courage to let go, strength to begin again, patience to endure, and joy to serve. And in all of it, you have revealed yourself not as a distant figure, but as a Father who walks close, who listens, who sustains, who loves without measure. That is the fullness I feel now, not an end, but a beginning lived in the awareness that you are always near. Father, I realize that fullness is not about having everything I want, but a knowing that I already have everything I need in you. Fullness is not the absence of struggle, but the presence of your spirit in the midst of it. Fullness is not about my life being flawless, but about my heart being open, receptive, willing to walk wherever you lead. Teach me to carry this awareness into every moment of my day, that I do not leave prayer behind when I rise from these words, but that prayer becomes the quiet rhythm of every breath, the silent companion of every thought, the undercurrent of every action. Let me live not as someone who occasionally seeks your presence, but as someone who abides in it continually. And Father, let this fullness overflow outward. Do not let it remain only within me. Let it touch my relationships, shaping me into someone more patient, more compassionate, more willing to forgive. Let it reach into my work, reminding me that even ordinary tasks can become sacred when done with love. Let it flow into my community, urging me to be a bearer of light, a voice of encouragement, a vessel of hope. The fullness of your presence is never meant to be hoarded, it is meant to be shared, multiplied, spread like fragrance into the lives of those around me. Father, I also acknowledge that fullness requires returning. I cannot live on yesterday's gratitude or yesterday's peace. I need to come back again and again, to refill, to realign, to be reminded. And that is not a burden, it is a gift. For every return to you is another opportunity to taste grace fresh, to drink from the well of living water, to breathe deeply of love that never runs dry. Remind me that prayer is not an occasional practice, but a daily rhythm, a constant invitation to walk with you, to dwell in your presence, to be renewed moment by moment. Let me never grow weary of returning, because every return brings me deeper into the life you long for me to live. Father, as I stand here at the close of this prayer journey, I feel the threads of all that has been spoken weaving together into something strong, something lasting. Surrender, trust, hope, peace, love, perseverance, gratitude, all of them converge here, not as isolated lessons, but as facets of the same truth, that you are enough. You have always been enough. And when I live in that truth, I find the freedom to rest, the courage to rise, and the joy to keep walking. That is the fullness I want to carry, not a list of answers, but a heart anchored in you. So, Father, I end this chapter not with finality, but with openness. This is not the end of prayer, but the continuation of a lifelong conversation. This is not the closing of a book, but the turning of a page into the story of today and tomorrow. And I step into that story with hands open, spirit steady, and heart ready to live in the fullness of your presence. Let this day be marked not by striving but by resting, not by fear but by trust, not by emptiness but by abundance. For where you are, Father, there is fullness of joy, and where your Spirit leads, there is freedom. To everyone who has walked this journey with me, thank you for reaching this moment. Your presence here has been a gift, and I hope that these prayers have touched your spirit, reminded you of truth, and encouraged you to keep walking in faith. I invite you now to share your own reflections, your own prayers, your own moments of gratitude in the space below. Together, we can create a chorus of voices lifted in hope, a community bound by the quiet strength of faith. And if this journey has spoken to you, I invite you to stay connected, subscribe to this channel. Share these prayers with others who might need them, and continue returning each day to renew your heart in faith. Let us walk together in this rhythm, encouraging one another, reminding each other of the fullness we have in God, and carrying light into the world in ways both small and profound. And so I leave you with this image, gentle and quiet, the morning sun slowly rising, spreading its golden warmth across the horizon, touching everything with light. The air is fresh, carrying a soft breeze that brushes the skin with comfort. A stream flows nearby, water clear and alive, moving forward without resistance, whispering the song of life unending. This is where I stand now, in the fullness of His presence, in the quiet assurance that even as one day begins and another ends, His love remains, steady as the dawn, constant as the flowing stream, endless as the light breaking across the morning sky.